Captain Jake Morrison walked across the bridge of his ship, the USS Defiant. The metal floor made soft sounds under his boots. He looked out the front window at the dark space around them. Stars dotted the black like tiny lights on a huge wall. The Defiant was old, 40 years old to be exact. Most people in the space fleet called it junk. The newer ships had better engines, stronger weapons, and shinier metal. The Defiant had scratches on its walls and old computers that took time to start up. Jake did not care what others thought. This ship was his home. The crew of 180 people felt the same way. They worked hard every day to keep the old ship running. "Captain," said Lisa Park, the chief engineer. She was a small woman with short black hair and oil stains on her uniform. "The left engine is making noise again. I can fix it, but we need new parts." Jake nodded. "Do what you can, Lisa. We always do." Lisa smiled. She had been fixing things on this ship for 8 years. She could make almost anything work with the right tools and enough time. At the navigation station, Ryan Cole was looking at star maps on his screen. He was young, maybe 25, with bright eyes and quick hands. "Sir, we got new patrol orders. They want us to check the far side of the asteroid field." "The far side?" Jake asked. "That will take us 3 days away from the station." "Yes, sir. The new ships do not want to go that far out. They say it is a waste of time." Jake understood. The big ships stayed close to the important planets. They protected the rich worlds where millions of people lived. Ships like the Defiant got sent to check empty space and old mining stations. Katie Bell sat at the weapons station. She was cleaning the control panel with a small cloth. Katie had red hair and green eyes. She took care of the ship's missiles and guns like they were her children. "Our weapons are old too," Katie said without looking up. "But they still work. Maybe better than the fancy new ones." "How do you figure that?" Ryan asked. "Simple," Katie said. "The new weapons use energy beams and plasma bolts, very advanced. But our weapons are basic. We shoot metal bullets and explosive missiles. Sometimes simple works better." Jake sat down in his captain's chair. It was worn and comfortable, shaped by years of use. He had commanded the Defiant for 6 years. Before that, he served on newer ships. He liked this old ship better. The communication system made a beeping sound. The face of Admiral Hayes appeared on the main screen. The Admiral had gray hair and a serious expression. He always looked worried. "Captain Morrison," the Admiral said, "I have news. The enemy is coming." Jake felt his heart beat faster. For months, everyone had talked about the hegemony. They were aliens from far away who conquered other worlds. Their ships were huge and powerful. Their weapons could destroy entire planets. "How long do we have?" Jake asked. "Not long. Our scouts report a massive fleet heading for our space. They will be here in days, maybe hours." The bridge became very quiet. Lisa stopped working on her computer. Ryan turned around in his chair. Katie put down her cleaning cloth. "What are our orders?" Jake asked. "All important ships are being called back to defend the core worlds, the big cities, the main planets, the military bases." Jake waited. He knew what was coming. "The Defiant will remain at Kepler Station. Maintain your patrol schedule. Keep the communication systems working." "Sir," Jake said carefully, "if the enemy is as strong as reports say, should we not join the main fleet?" Admiral Hayes looked tired. "Captain, I will be honest with you. We need every modern ship we can get. The Defiant is, well, it is old. Your weapons cannot hurt their shields. Your engines are too slow to keep up. You would be more useful staying where you are." The words hit Jake like a punch. He kept his face calm, but inside he felt angry. The Admiral was saying his ship did not matter. His crew did not matter. "Understood, sir," Jake said. "Good luck, Captain. Hayes out." The screen went dark. The bridge stayed quiet for a long time. Finally, Lisa spoke. "So they think we are junk?" "That is what it sounds like," Ryan said. Katie turned around to face Jake. "Captain, what do we do?" Jake thought for a moment. His crew was looking at him. These people had worked with him for years. They trusted him to make the right choice. "We follow orders," Jake said. We stay here and do our job. But inside, he was thinking something else. Maybe being forgotten was not so bad. Maybe being overlooked could be useful. Over the next 2 days, bad news came from everywhere. The enemy ships were huge. Their weapons cut through human defenses like paper. Earth's best battleships were destroyed in minutes. The hegemony moved fast. They took one planet after another. Human forces tried to fight back, but nothing worked. The alien ships had shields that stopped all attacks. Their own weapons were too powerful to stop. Jake watched the reports with his crew. They saw their friends on other ships die. They saw whole colonies surrender or get destroyed. Then the communication systems went quiet. No more orders came from Admiral Hayes. No more reports from the fleet. "Sir," Ryan said, "I think we are alone." Jake looked around his bridge. His old ship with its old crew and old weapons. Everyone had forgotten about them. The enemy probably did not even know they existed. Maybe that was exactly what they needed. 3 weeks had passed since the last message from Admiral Hayes. Jake Morrison stood in the engine room of the Defiant, watching Lisa Park work on the main power systems. She had her hands deep inside a control panel, connecting wires that should not go together. "This will make us almost invisible," Lisa said, not looking up from her work. "The enemy looks for big engine signatures, hot, bright, loud engines. We can run cold and quiet." "How quiet?" Jake asked. "Quiet enough that we look like space junk on their sensors." Jake smiled. Space junk was exactly what everyone thought they were anyway. Katie Bell walked into the engine room carrying a tablet computer. Her red hair was tied back and she had an excited look on her face. "Captain, I found something interesting," Katie said. "I have been studying the enemy ship data from the battles." "What did you find?" "Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons, plasma beams, laser cannons, particle guns, all the fancy stuff our new ships use." Jake waited for her to continue. "But our weapons are different. We shoot solid metal bullets and chemical explosives, old-style weapons. I think their shields might not work as well against that." "You think?" Jake asked. "Only one way to find out," Katie said with a grin. Ryan Cole's voice came over the ship's communication system. "Captain, to the bridge. We have contacts." Jake hurried to the bridge. Ryan was pointing at his screen, which showed several dots moving through space. "Hegemony supply convoy," Ryan said. 3 cargo ships and 2 escort vessels. They are heading for the main battle zone. Jake studied the display. The enemy ships were moving in a straight line, not worried about attack. They thought this area was safe. "How long until they pass through the asteroid field?" Jake asked. 2 hours, Ryan said. Jake made his decision. "Set course for intercept. Lisa, I want the engines as quiet as possible. Katie, load the old chemical warheads in the missile tubes." "Sir," Ryan said. "Are we really going to attack them?" "We are going to see if Katie is right about their shields." The next 2 hours felt very long. The Defiant moved slowly through the asteroid field, hiding behind large rocks. Lisa had the engines running so quietly that Jake could barely feel the ship moving. "Contact in range," Katie reported. "I have targeting solutions on all 5 ships." "Remember," Jake said, "we hit the escort ships first. If this does not work, we need to run fast." "Understood, sir." Jake took a deep breath. "Fire." 4 missiles shot out from the Defiant. They were old missiles with simple guidance systems and chemical explosive warheads, the kind of weapons that modern ships did not use anymore. The enemy escort ships tried to shoot down the missiles. Their automatic defense guns fired energy beams that destroyed 2 of the missiles, but the other 2 got through. The explosions were beautiful and terrible. The enemy shields flickered and failed. The escort ships broke apart, their metal hulls torn open by the simple explosive warheads. "Direct hits!" Katie shouted. "Their shields did not stop us!" The 3 cargo ships tried to run, but they were too slow. The Defiant fired again, this time using the main railgun. Solid metal slugs punched through the cargo ships like they were made of paper. In less than 5 minutes, the entire convoy was destroyed. The Defiant had not taken any damage. "Well," Jake said, "I guess Katie was right." Word spread quickly to other old ships in the area. The destroyer USS Ranger was hiding near a gas giant. The frigate Lightning was docked at an abandoned mining station. The supply ship Aurora was hiding in a nebula. Captain Amy Foster commanded the Ranger. She was older than Jake, with gray in her hair and scars on her hands from years of service. When Jake contacted her, she was very interested in his story. "You destroyed 5 enemy ships?" Amy asked over the communication link. "We did. Their shields do not work against our old weapons." "Then maybe it is time we stopped hiding." Over the next few weeks, Jake's small group of forgotten ships began working together. They developed new ways to fight that no military school had ever taught. They used gravity from planets to speed up their attacks. They hid in nebulas and asteroid fields where the enemy could not see them. They attacked fast and ran away before help could arrive. Lisa Park became a master at making old engines run silent. She taught the other engineers how to mask their heat signatures and reduce their power output. Ryan Cole learned to plot courses through dangerous areas that big ships could not follow. He found hiding spots in places the enemy would never look. Katie Bell shared her weapons knowledge with the other ships. They all started using simple, old-style weapons that could punch through advanced shields. The enemy began to notice the attacks on their supply lines. Cargo convoys started arriving late or not at all. Escort ships reported attacks by unknown vessels that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Admiral Krendar of the Hegemony 4th Fleet was not happy. He stood on the bridge of his heavy cruiser, looking at reports of damaged supply lines. "How many ships have we lost this week?" he asked his aide. 14 cargo vessels and 8 escorts, sir." "What is attacking them?" "Unknown, sir. The few survivors report small ships using primitive weapons, but that cannot be correct." Admiral Krendar was confused. Primitive weapons could not hurt Hegemony ships. Their shields were designed by the best scientists in the galaxy. They could stop any known human weapon. "Find these ghost ships," Krendar ordered. "I want them destroyed." But finding the ghost ships was not easy. They moved like shadows through space, striking without warning and vanishing before anyone could respond. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, looking at star charts showing their next target. Another supply convoy was coming through in 2 days. This one was bigger and had more guards. "Are you sure about this?" Ryan asked. 6 escort ships is a lot." "We are not going alone," Jake said. "Amy is bringing the Ranger. Captain Davis from the Lightning will hit them from the other side." 3 old ships against 9 enemy vessels, Katie said. "I like those odds." Lisa came onto the bridge carrying a coffee cup and a smile. "Captain, I have been thinking. What if we could make their shields work against them?" "What do you mean?" "Their shields are smart. They adapt to different attacks. But what if we overload them with too much information? Make them confused?" Jake was interested. "How?" "We change our weapons constantly. Different types of bullets, different explosive chemicals, different timing. Make every shot different from the last one." "Can we do that?" "Give me a few days. I think I can modify our ammunition systems." Jake nodded. The enemy thought humans were beaten. They thought the remaining ships were not worth worrying about. They were wrong. The Ghost Fleet was just getting started. Admiral Voss Krendar was angry. He stood in his command center aboard the heavy cruiser Domination, looking at maps that showed his supply problems. Red marks indicated where convoys had been attacked. There were too many red marks. "This is impossible," Krendar said to his staff. "Humans do not fight this way. They attack in large groups with heavy ships. They do not hide and strike like pirates." "Sir," said his intelligence officer, "we believe these are small ships that survived the main battles, perhaps outdated vessels that were left behind." "Outdated ships cannot penetrate our shields," Krendar replied. "Our technology is superior." "Yes, sir, but the attacks are real. We have lost 47 supply ships in the past month." Krendar made his decision. "I will hunt down these ghost ships myself. Prepare the battle group. 3 heavy cruisers, 6 destroyers, and 2 scout carriers. We will sweep every asteroid field and nebula until we find them." Meanwhile, Jake Morrison was meeting with the other ship captains at an old space station deep in the Titan Nebula. The station had been abandoned for years, but it still had power and air. It made a perfect hidden base. Captain Amy Foster from the Ranger sat across from Jake at a metal table. Captain Bill Davis from the Lightning was there too, along with Captain Carol Stone from the frigate Storm and Captain Tony Green from the supply ship Aurora. "The enemy is sending a big fleet after us," Amy said. "Our scouts report at least 11 ships heading this way." "That is more than we have ever faced," Bill said. He was a thin man with nervous hands that always moved when he talked. "Maybe we should run." "Where would we run to?" Jake asked. "This is our space, our home. If we keep running, we will run out of places to hide." Carol Stone spoke up. She was a tough woman who had served in the military for 20 years. "Jake is right. Running will not solve anything. We need to fight smart." "What do you suggest?" Tony asked. He was the youngest captain, but his supply ship had been very useful for keeping the other ships running. Jake stood up and walked to a display screen on the wall. It showed a map of the Titan Nebula with its gas clouds and electrical storms. "We use the nebula," Jake said. "The enemy will have trouble with their sensors in here. But we know this place. We have been hiding here for weeks." Lisa Park was working on something in the corner of the room. She had taken apart several pieces of equipment and was putting them back together in new ways. "I have been thinking about their shields," Lisa said without looking up. "I think I can make our reactor create an electromagnetic pulse. It will not hurt us because our equipment is old and hardened, but it will knock out their shields for a few seconds." "A few seconds might be enough," Katie said. She had been studying weapon reports from their attacks. "If we time it right, we can hit them when they are defenseless." Over the next week, Krendar's fleet entered the Titan Nebula. The thick gas clouds made it hard for their advanced sensors to work properly. The electromagnetic storms interfered with their communications. Jake's ghost fleet split up and took positions throughout the nebula. Each ship waited in hiding, ready to strike when the time was right. The first attack came when Krendar's lead destroyer moved too close to an asteroid field. The Lightning appeared from behind a large rock and fired all of its missiles at once. The enemy shields held, but the explosions damaged several sensor arrays. Before the destroyer could respond, the Lightning was gone, disappeared back into the gas clouds. "Report," Krendar demanded. "Minor damage to the Conquest, sir," his communications officer replied. "The attacking ship escaped." "One ship did this?" "Yes, sir. Small human vessel, possibly a frigate." Krendar was puzzled. One small ship should not be able to damage his destroyer and escape. His ships were faster and stronger. The second attack came 2 days later. The Ranger and the Storm attacked together, hitting one of Krendar's heavy cruisers from 2 different directions. This time, Lisa's electromagnetic pulse worked perfectly. The pulse knocked out the cruiser's shields for exactly 4 seconds. In that time, both human ships fired everything they had. Solid metal bullets and chemical explosives tore into the enemy hull. The cruiser did not sink, but it was badly damaged. Several of its weapon systems were destroyed, and it had to withdraw from the battle. "How are they doing this?" Krendar asked his science officer. "Their weapons are primitive, sir. But primitive weapons can be effective if the shields are not working." "Why are the shields not working?" "We are not sure, sir. There appears to be some kind of electromagnetic interference." Krendar began to realize he was not fighting the kind of battle he had trained for. These humans were not following the rules of proper space warfare. They were making up their own rules. The cat and mouse game continued for another week. Krendar's ships would find one of the human vessels, but before they could destroy it, 2 more would attack from different directions. The humans used the nebula's gas clouds to hide their movements. They appeared and disappeared like real ghosts. Jake's ships took damage too. The Storm lost its main engine and had to be towed by the Aurora. The Ranger's weapon systems were damaged in a close fight with 2 enemy destroyers. But they were winning. Krendar's fleet was being picked apart, 1 ship at a time. The enemy admiral was getting desperate. "We need to flush them out," Krendar told his staff. "Force them to fight in open space where our superior technology will matter." "How do we do that, sir?" "We attack something they have to defend." Krendar ordered his remaining ships to target the old space station where the humans had been meeting. It was deep in the nebula, but his scouts had found it. Jake received the warning just in time. "All ships, the enemy is moving toward the station. They know where it is." "Do we abandon it?" Amy asked over the communication link. Jake looked at his crew. They had made that old station into a home. It was where they planned their attacks and repaired their ships. More than that, it was a symbol that they were still fighting. "No," Jake said. "We make our stand here." The final battle of the Titan Nebula began when Krendar's remaining 7 ships approached the station. Jake's 5 ships were waiting for them, spread out in a defensive pattern, but this time, the humans did not hit and run. This time, they stood and fought. Lisa's electromagnetic pulse disabled the shields on Krendar's flagship. Katie's missiles found their target. Ryan flew the Defiant through a storm of enemy fire to get close enough for the railgun to do its work. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it was over, only 2 of Krendar's ships escaped. The rest were destroyed or too damaged to continue fighting. Jake's Ghost Fleet had won, but the cost was high. The Lightning was destroyed, and Captain Davis did not survive. The storm was so badly damaged that it would never fly again. But they had proven something important. Old ships with smart crews could beat newer technology. Sometimes experience and courage mattered more than advanced weapons. As Jake looked at the wreckage floating in the nebula, he knew this was just the beginning. The enemy would send more ships, but now they knew that humans could fight back, even when everyone thought they were beaten. Jake Morrison sat in the communication room of the old space station, listening to enemy radio messages that Ryan had managed to decode. The young navigation officer had become very good at breaking enemy codes during their months in hiding. "Listen to this," Ryan said, playing back a recorded message. The alien voices were translated by the computer into English. "Supply convoy 774 has been destroyed by unknown human vessels. This is the 15th attack this month. Command wants to know how these ships are penetrating our defenses." Jake frowned. "Play the next one." "Fleet Admiral Morak is concerned about human tactical changes. The attacks do not match any known human combat doctrine. Request updated intelligence files on human military capabilities." "Updated intelligence files?" Katie said. She was sitting nearby, cleaning her weapons as always. "That sounds like they already have intelligence files on us." Ryan played another message. This one made everyone in the room go quiet. "Confirm that all major human fleet positions were accurate as of last month. The intelligence package provided by Source 7 was completely correct. All human battleships were exactly where predicted." Jake felt his heart start beating faster. "Source 7? There is more," Ryan said. He played the next message. "Human weapons frequencies and shield harmonics from the intelligence package allowed our forces to achieve total victory at the Battle of Alpha Centauri. Enemy defenses collapsed exactly as predicted." Katie stopped cleaning her weapon. They knew about our weapons before the battle. Lisa Park walked into the communication room. She had been working on the damaged ships for days, trying to keep them running. Her uniform was dirty, and she looked tired. "What is everyone talking about?" Lisa asked. "Someone gave the enemy information about our military," Jake said. "Detailed information. That is why they won so easily." Lisa sat down hard in a chair. "Someone on our side?" "It looks that way," Ryan said. "The messages talk about detailed intelligence on human ships, weapons, tactics, everything." Jake stood up and started walking around the small room. His mind was working fast, putting pieces together. "That explains everything," he said. "Why their shields work so well against our energy weapons. Why they knew exactly where to attack our fleets. Why they won every major battle. But not why they cannot stop us," Katie pointed out. "Because we were not important enough to be included in the intelligence package," Jake said. "Old ships like ours were considered junk, not worth bothering with." Ryan played more messages. They painted a clear picture. Someone high up in the human military had sold detailed information to the enemy. Fleet positions, weapon specifications, tactical doctrines, shield frequencies. Everything needed to destroy humanity's defenses. "We need to find out who did this," Lisa said. "First, we need to survive long enough to tell someone," Jake replied. "The enemy knows we are here now. They will send more ships." Katie was studying her weapon display screen. "Captain, I have been analyzing the enemy equipment we captured. I found something interesting." "What is it?" "Their shields have a weakness. They are designed to adapt to different attacks, but they can only handle so many changes at once. If we hit them with too many different weapon types too quickly, the shields get confused." Confused how? They shut down for a few seconds while the computer tries to figure out how to adapt. During that time, they are defenseless. Lisa looked up from her work. I can modify our ammunition to create different weapon signatures. Every shot would look different to their computers. How different? Jake asked. Different explosive chemicals, different metal types, different velocities, maybe even different timing patterns. Jake was getting excited. If we can overload their shield computers, we might be able to hurt their bigger ships. There is something else, Katie said. The captured data shows the location of their main command ship, the Pride of Hegemony. Ryan looked up from his computer. That is Admiral Morak's flagship, the ship coordinating their entire invasion. How big is it? Jake asked. Massive, 10 times the size of a human battleship. It has enough firepower to destroy a planet. And enough armor to survive anything we could throw at it, Lisa added. Maybe not, Katie said. If their shields work the same way as the other ships, and if we can overload them. Jake was quiet for a long time, thinking. His small fleet had been fighting the enemy for months. They had won some battles and lost others, but they had never tried to attack something as big as the Pride of Hegemony. The intelligence data would be on that ship, Jake said finally. Probably, Ryan agreed, along with the identity of whoever sold us out. Jake made his decision. We are going to attack it. Everyone stared at him. Captain, Amy Foster said over the communication link from the Ranger. Did I hear you correctly? You want to attack their command ship? That is exactly what I want to do. Sir, Lisa said carefully, that ship could destroy our entire fleet without trying very hard. Only if they see us coming, Jake replied. But we have been invisible to them for months. We know how to hide, how to strike fast, and how to disappear. Katie was looking at her weapon specifications. If we could get close enough, and if we could overload their shields. It would have to be perfectly coordinated, Ryan said. All ships attacking at exactly the same time, with maximum weapon variety. Where is the ship now? Jake asked. Ryan checked his long-range sensors. 3 days away, near the planet New Terra. That is where the final battle for human space is happening. Jake understood. The enemy was about to finish their conquest of human territory. The Pride of Hegemony was there to oversee the final victory. Then that is where we need to be, Jake said. Over the next 2 days, Jake's surviving ships prepared for their most dangerous mission. Lisa worked around the clock to modify their weapons systems. Katie calculated attack patterns that would maximize confusion to enemy shield computers. Ryan plotted a course that would get them close to the enemy command ship without being detected. Amy Foster brought the Ranger alongside the Defiant for final preparations. Captain Carol Stone did the same with the Storm, despite its heavy damage. Tony Green's supply ship Aurora carried extra ammunition and spare parts. This is probably suicide, Amy said during their final planning meeting. Probably, Jake agreed. But if we do nothing, humanity loses the war. At least this way we have a chance to make a difference. Even if we succeed, even if we destroy their command ship, there are still hundreds of enemy vessels out there. But without coordination, without their intelligence advantage, maybe our people can fight back. Jake looked around at his officers and the other ship captains. These people had followed him through months of impossible battles. They had trusted him when everyone else had given up. Anyone who wants to leave can go now, Jake said. No shame in it. This mission is voluntary. Nobody moved. All right then, Jake said. Let us go ruin their day. The space around New Terra was full of burning ships. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of his last remaining battleship, watching his fleet die. The human defense force had fought bravely, but they were losing badly. Enemy ships surrounded the planet like a metal wall. Their weapons tore through human shields as if they were made of paper. In a few more hours, the war would be over. Sir, his communications officer said, Admiral Morak is requesting our surrender. Hayes looked at the tactical display. He had 12 ships left out of 200. The enemy had lost maybe 20 ships total. Tell Admiral Morak we will consider his offer, Hayes said. He needed time to think. Far away from the main battle, hidden behind New Terra's largest moon, Jake Morrison watched the fight through his ship's sensors. The Defiant sat quietly in the moon's shadow, along with the Ranger, the damaged Storm, and the supply ship Aurora. "The fleet is getting destroyed," Ryan said quietly. "I can see that," Jake replied. His voice was calm, but inside he felt sick watching his friends die. Katie was at her weapons station, making final checks on their modified systems. "All weapons ready, Captain. Lisa's modifications are working perfectly. Each shot will have a completely different signature." Lisa Park came onto the bridge carrying a small device. "Captain, this is the electromagnetic pulse generator. It is much stronger than the old one. When we activate it, their shields should shut down for at least 10 seconds. 10 seconds, Jake said. "That should be enough." Tony Green's voice came over the communication system from the Aurora. "All ships have full ammunition loads. Extra power cells are installed. We are as ready as we will ever be." Jake looked at his crew. They had been through so much together. Now they were about to attempt something that would either save humanity or get them all killed. "Amy," Jake said over the ship-to-ship communication. "Are you ready?" "The Ranger is ready," Captain Foster replied. "Carol, how about the Storm?" "We have lost main engines, but weapons are working," Captain Stone said. "We can fight." Jake took a deep breath. "Remember the plan. We come in fast from 4 different directions. Target the Pride of Hegemony's shield generators first. When Lisa triggers the electromagnetic pulse, we hit the command center with everything we have." "Understood," Amy said. Jake turned to Ryan. "Take us in." The 4 human ships left their hiding place behind the moon and began their approach to the massive enemy flagship. The Pride of Hegemony was enormous, larger than anything humanity had ever built. It floated in the center of the enemy formation, like a metal mountain. "Contact in 5 minutes, Ryan reported. Jake watched the tactical display as they got closer to the enemy fleet. Hundreds of alien ships surrounded the Pride of Hegemony. Any one of them could destroy Jake's small ships easily. "They have not seen us yet," Katie said. "Their sensors are focused on the main battle." 4 minutes to contact. Jake activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, this is the captain. In a few minutes we are going to attack the largest enemy ship in their fleet. I know it sounds crazy. I know the odds are against us, but remember what we learned. We are not junk. We are not obsolete. We are the Ghost Fleet, and today we fight for everyone who ever said we did not matter." 2 minutes to contact. The Pride of Hegemony was huge on their screens now. Jake could see weapon ports that were bigger than his entire ship. Shield generators the size of buildings dotted its hull. "Lisa, are you ready with the pulse?" "Ready, Captain." "Katie, target their command center. Ryan, bring us in close." 1 minute to contact. Admiral Morak stood on the bridge of the Pride of Hegemony, watching the final phase of his victory. Human resistance was almost finished. In a few hours, he would accept their surrender and the galaxy would belong to the Hegemony. "Sir," his sensor officer said, "I am detecting some small contacts approaching from multiple vectors." "Probably debris from the battle," Morak replied without interest. "Sir, the contacts appear to be ships, 4 small vessels on attack approach." Morak looked at his displays. 4 tiny human ships were heading straight for his massive flagship. It was like insects attacking a mountain. "Destroy them," Morak ordered, but it was too late. "Now!" Jake shouted. All 4 human ships attacked at once. The Defiant came in from above, firing railgun rounds with different metal compositions. The Ranger attacked from below, launching missiles with varying explosive chemicals. The Storm, despite its damage, hit from the left side with a mix of plasma bolts and kinetic rounds. The Aurora, normally just a supply ship, fired everything it had from the right. The Pride of Hegemony's shields tried to adapt to the incoming weapons, but Lisa's modifications worked perfectly. Every shot had a different signature. The shield computers could not keep up with so many variables. "Shields are fluctuating," Morak's defense officer reported. "Now, Lisa," Jake ordered. Lisa triggered the electromagnetic pulse. The massive burst of energy washed over the Pride of Hegemony, and for 10 crucial seconds, its shields went down completely. In those 10 seconds, 4 small human ships fired everything they had at the enemy command center. Hundreds of rounds and missiles struck the unprotected hull. Explosions bloomed across the massive ship's surface. The Pride of Hegemony shuddered as its command systems failed. Communication links to the rest of the fleet went dead. Navigation computers shut down. Weapon control systems sparked and died. "Direct hit on the command center," Katie reported. "Their communications are down." But the fight was not over. The Pride of Hegemony was damaged but not destroyed. Its massive hull could take a lot of punishment. Enemy escort ships were turning to attack the human vessels. "We need to get inside," Jake said. "Ryan, take us to their docking bay." "Sir, we are going aboard. The information we need is in their computer core." Ryan flew the Defiant through a hail of enemy fire toward the Pride of Hegemony's damaged hull. The ship shook as energy beams struck the armor, but the old destroyer held together. "Docking bay ahead," Ryan reported. "It looks like the blast doors are stuck open." "Perfect. Take us in." The Defiant slipped through the damaged docking bay doors and landed inside the enemy ship. Jake grabbed his rifle and looked at his crew. "Lisa, Katie, you are with me. Ryan, keep the ship ready for a fast departure." "Yes, sir." Jake and his two officers ran through the corridors of the Pride of Hegemony. Emergency lights flashed red and alarms echoed through the metal hallways. The electromagnetic pulse had damaged many of the ship's systems. They found the computer core deep in the ship's center. Lisa quickly connected her portable computer to the alien system. "I am downloading everything," Lisa said. "Fleet positions, battle plans, communication logs, and here it is, the source of their intelligence." Jake looked at the data flowing across Lisa's screen. Names, dates, classified information. All of it coming from someone high in the human military command. "Admiral Hayes," Katie said, reading over Lisa's shoulder. "He sold us out." Jake felt angry and sad at the same time. Hayes was the man who had sent them to die at Kepler Station, the man who had called their ship junk. "Download complete," Lisa said. "We have everything." They ran back to the Defiant as enemy soldiers tried to stop them. The old ship's engines were already running when they arrived. Ryan lifted off immediately and flew back through the damaged docking bay. Outside, the battle had changed. With the Pride of Hegemony's communications down, the enemy fleet was confused and uncoordinated. Some ships were retreating, others were attacking each other by mistake. Admiral Hayes watched in amazement as the enemy formation fell apart. His tactical officer was reporting impossible things. "Sir, 4 small ships just attacked the Pride of Hegemony. The enemy flagship is heavily damaged and appears to be out of communication with its fleet." "4 ships did that?" "Yes, sir. They are hailing us." Jake's face appeared on Hayes's main screen. The Admiral stared in shock. "Captain Morrison? You are supposed to be dead." "Not yet, Admiral. We have something you need to see." Jake transmitted the data they had stolen from the Pride of Hegemony. Evidence of betrayal, lists of human traitors, and most importantly, detailed information about enemy weaknesses. "My God," Hayes said as he read the files. "This changes everything." "Yes, it does," Jake said. "The enemy shields can be overloaded with variable frequency weapons. Their communications can be disrupted with electromagnetic pulses, and their intelligence advantage is gone." Hayes looked at the tactical display. The enemy fleet was still in chaos. His remaining ships were starting to push back. "Captain Morrison," Hayes said, "I owe you an apology, and I owe you a debt that can never be repaid." "You can repay it by winning this war," Jake said. The Battle of New Terra became the turning point of the entire conflict. With their command ship damaged and their intelligence advantage lost, the hegemony forces began to retreat. Human ships, now armed with knowledge of enemy weaknesses, started winning battles for the first time. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching enemy ships flee toward deep space. His old ship had scratches and burns from the battle, but she was still flying. "Captain," Katie said, "Admiral Hayes is promoting us, all of us, and they want to give the Defiant a complete refit with the latest technology." Jake smiled. "Tell the Admiral thank you, but no. We will keep our old ship exactly the way she is." "Sir?" "Sometimes," Jake said. "The old ways are the best ways. The enemy learned not to overlook us once. Let them learn it again." The war would continue for many more months, But humanity now had hope. The Ghost Fleet had proven that being overlooked could be an advantage, that old ships with brave crews could change the course of history. And in space docks throughout human territory, engineers began building new ships designed to be unpredictable, adaptable, and utterly human in their approach to warfare. Ships that would never be overlooked again.